Kylie Cosmetics was once the hottest brand in the makeup industry, but following a very public lawsuit and a rebrand, seemingly they've lost that status. But after all this, is it possible that they can make a comeback? Kylie Jenner was obviously majorly famous before the start of her brand. Specifically, she was known for the reality TV show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but she was also making major waves on Instagram because of her makeup, beauty enhancements, and the speculation surrounding that. Specifically, she went viral for allegedly having lip injections, which she at first denied, causing a ripple effect trend called the Kylie Lip Challenge, where one would suck the air out of something small to create a vacuum, forcing the lips to swell. This was widely discussed as it was considered to be quite dangerous by healthcare professionals, but still really attractive visually, and so was very popular amongst young people. This was around April 2015, the year after Seed Beauty had been set up by the heads of Colourpop, which if you do want more information on, I do already have a video about. Seed Beauty was meant as an incubator of young brands, and so it seemed to be a good company through whom Kylie could launch her own brand. Seed Beauty could use the formulas that they already had with Colourpop and change them slightly to make a new product for Kylie. Effectively, they were doing her research, development, and formulation for the products, which in return they would have the exclusive rights to production, and she would bring her celebrity status and ideas for promotion. Obviously, they were paid for this, but Kylie owned 100% of the company, so it was similar to what you might know from outsourcing. They began their partnership with a line of lip products, with the first product released as the Kylie Lip Kit that came in 3 colors. There was Dolce K, Candy K, and True Brown K, which all consisted of a liquid lipstick and matching lip liner. They say in a much later released Kylie Cosmetics documentary that for promotion they didn't want to approach this in the traditional way and instead utilized social media marketing to create buzz by having Kylie, who already had an enormous following with 43.6 million on Instagram, 12.6 million on Twitter, and an unknown amount on Snapchat, tease the products before the official launch of the brand. This was really successful, and by the launch it was an absolute sensation. The product and the company really came before the hordes of celebrity brands that we have today, and so it profited both off of the buzzworthy topic, buzzworthy celebrity, and the excitement of something novel, being that they had promoted it as the first lip liners that matched their lipsticks. The launch was absolutely massive, and the lip kit sold out within minutes, creating a massive amount of buzz and demand for the product. However, in production, the kits were run at a very limited quantity with only 15,000 units, so that means there was only 5,000 per shade. This is really not a lot and is a very old and well-studied marketing tactic named scarcity marketing, which is initially based on Brem's theory of psychological reactance from 1966, as well as most of the work through all of his career and later his book, Psychological Reactance, from 1981. In it, they effectively theorized that by taking away one's freedom to buy something, consumers react to it. In short, people want what they can't have. So in theory, if you can force the image that your brand is inaccessible, consequently, it actually becomes more desirable. So as an extension, when they do restock, the demand is higher and they can move more product than they may have been able to initially. It also has the added benefit of being a great way to get a second wave of PR following a brand's launch. So that meant that each time a product was restocked, which happened each few weeks following the initial launch, it caused yet another bout of popularity, gained more sales, and made more profits. In fact, the company would ride this wave of popularity all until the eventual decline several months later. This decline in popularity of the lip kits correlated with the rise in popularity of lip plumpers, something that Lip Kit by Kylie, now called Kylie Cosmetics, would in fact not release at this time, and I'm not really sure why. That seems like a bit of a lost opportunity to me. Instead, they'd released eyeshadow palettes in 2016, highlighters in February 2017, and blushes around March 2017. Though none of those ever reached the success of the lip kit. And in fact, all 3 would have their own scandals to add to the scandals of the new lip kit shades, although again, none as widely talked about as the initial Kylie's lip plumping controversy that helped launch the brand. But despite this, Kylie Cosmetics continued to do really well. specifically becoming known for having themed collections like this Halloween one that came with a video on her personal YouTube channel and collaborations with multiple themes which have become a signature of the Kylie Cosmetics brand as a whole. Around this time, they also had their first in-store stocking with Ulta Beauty in 2017 for an apparently limited selection of products. They were primarily a direct-to-consumer brand before this, so this was actually quite impactful to the growth and legitimization of the company. Following this, in 2018, they also had a collaboration with Topshop for the Kylie brand cosmetics to be sold in 7 stores across the US as well. Furthermore, in 2018, Kylie Cosmetics was then valued at $900 million by Forbes, supposedly making Kylie Jenner one of the youngest self-made billionaires in history. However, a while later, Forbes actually retracted this statement, alleging that Kylie Jenner's net worth had been massively inflated by her family and publicists, which was quite a scandal at the time. But in the timeline, it was still 2019. And despite stopping posting on the designated Kylie Cosmetics YouTube channel a year prior with this as their last video, Kylie Cosmetics was still one of the most popular cosmetics companies. They had multiple successful products and were generally still very big in the cultural zeitgeist. So the company, as a whole, was ripe for a buyout. This would come in November 2019 when Coty Incorporated purchased 51% stake in the business from Kylie, who had previously owned 100% of the company, for $600 million, which also happened to see the company valued at $1.2 billion. Early on, this seemed to be a wholly positive thing for both companies. It allowed Coty to make their portfolio younger, while for Kylie Cosmetics, it allowed them to have access to Coty's manufacturing, distribution, and marketing operations, something that Kylie Jenner would go on to say was the reason for her selling her stake. She wanted to expand into new categories and markets. However, because Coty is a publicly held company, that meant that their sales information came into the public, revealing that these sales were doing significantly worse than the public had been led to believe. This was to the tune of up to hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of the last few years alone. In fact, instead of being continually growing, it had either been on a 62% decline between 2016 and 2018 alone, or more likely, the family had simply been lying about the sales since its inception in 2016. This also revealed that Kylie potentially hadn't even owned 100% of the company's profits to begin with, as Kris Jenner had her business, the KMJ 2018 Irrevocable Trust, registered as owning a 5% profit interest in Kylie Cosmetics. So though she didn't technically own any of the company, she still got a 5% cut of all the profits, at least until the sale to Coty, after which that 5% was transferred either to capital or ownership interest in the company, which means in fact now, Kylie owns 44.1% and her mum owns just shy of 5%. Included in this was an expose of Kylie's skin, which had been released in May 2019 that had in fact only made a quarter of their claimed $100 million, which really didn't come as much of a surprise as it hadn't actually been very socially successful, as it also launched with a scandal after they used walnuts in their scrub, which is not very good for the skin and so made it seem like the product was not well considered. Meanwhile, for the beauty side of the product, actually it wasn't doing too badly. They continued to release collections with her family members to bring that through from her first collab with KKW, all of which included Kylie Cosmetics' now well-known products like lip kits, highlighters, and eyeshadows. However, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. By July 2020, Seed Beauty filed a lawsuit against Coty and Kylie, as well as to KKW, alleging that the company had shared confidential information about Seed Beauty's trade secrets and business practices during the due diligence process of the acquisition. This was evidenced by PR articles from around the time of the sale that used information that should have been private. It also stated that Seed had tried to deal with this privately, but had been ignored and so had to take legal action. The lawsuit sought to prevent Coty from using Seed Beauty's confidential information to manufacture and distribute Kylie Cosmetics products. The public thereby assumed that Seed was alleging that as Kylie moved over to Coty, she potentially shared the cosmetic formulas that were actually produced initially by Seed Beauty, i.e., they were not hers to share. This actually technically isn't in the court documents as far as I could see, but its 10 trade secrets are heavily redacted, so I cannot say conclusively whether it is or is not included. They do, however, mention the manufacturing process in the documents and how they are the sole manufacturer, so I can see where the public got this idea from, definitely. Just because of how it's worded, it certainly could allude to a worry that they may no longer be the sole manufacturer if trade secrets like these were shared, and it would cost them a lot of future revenue. This lawsuit began in July 2020, but Coty and Kylie continued to produce products until November 2020, when the beauty products just stopped coming. Over the next few months, this began to cause concern in her audience and in beauty enthusiasts who were left to wonder just what was going on with the company. Yet instead, Coty and Kylie went for more of a push on Kylie Skin, which had been launched across Europe, in the UK, France, and Germany, as well as in Australia. Though saying that, perhaps push is a bit of a strong term because it was still relatively quiet. It had a fair bit of initial buzz, but by this point, it seems like they were just trying to remain more quiet than a brand bolstered by such a huge celebrity might normally. They hadn't even released a single YouTube video about Kylie Skin since the 8 it launched with. Perhaps just so Skin could grow without drawing attention to the lawsuit, but that's just me speculating. In fact, everything with Kylie Cosmetics would remain relatively quiet until May 2021, when Kylie teased that they will relaunch Kylie Cosmetics, with the official announcement actually coming in June. This came about a month before both Seed and Kylie issued notices of settlement on the 9th of July for their lawsuit case, meaning that it had been settled out of court for an undisclosed sum, and they were safe to go ahead, waiting for the lawsuit just to completely finish. This was obviously quite a surprise to Kylie Jenner's fans and was promotion in and of itself. But further to this promotion, the brand had deleted all their previous posts on Instagram, something we know to be a modern-day marketing technique, but also they weren't selling those products anymore, so it made sense just in a more general way. Then, they posted this image of a supposedly brand new Kylie Cosmetics, which came along with a part 1 of the Kylie Cosmetics rebranding documentary on her personal YouTube channel, but not the brand channel, which is no longer posting. This look was more in line with the branding and packaging of the Kylie Skin products that had been steadily doing okay in this time. But the relaunch wasn't necessarily well received. They decided to change the point of view to being vegan, which it technically was already anyway, and clean, which was more on trend. However, weirdly, they chose to retain the somewhat dated logo on the drippy lips instead of making just a new logo, perhaps with something that aligned with their now changed, clean point of view. Furthermore, there was nothing about this new imagery that was particularly clean either. It's far more polished or synthetic, and the makeup still seemed to be very heavy in the promotional material. Plus, really, the Kardashian-Jenners are not really that known for a more natural or clean aesthetic at all, favoring more heavy makeup looks in general, so inherently, it kind of goes against their personal brand, which is so foolish, really, for a celebrity brand whose differentiator is the celebrity themselves. And yes, I know Kylie is trying to change her personal branding at the moment, but it's also not really in line with what Kylie 2.0 is, and seems more like a callback to the King Kylie era in which Kylie Cosmetics started, if anything. All of which wouldn't be an issue for the brand if it wasn't so heavily tied to Kylie, which of course it was. Even this relaunch was on her personal YouTube channel, so there wasn't even a physical separation between Kylie the person and Kylie Cosmetics the brand, at least on YouTube. They still have separate Instagrams, but even that looks to be inconsistent when you consider that the YouTube is all under one. But ultimately, this was all because of the lawsuit. They had to change the product because of it, if not legally, at least socially, and so it seems they thought that they would try to promote this as a relaunch just to get more buzz. In fairness, it would have been smart if they had really gone for it, but they clearly hadn't. It wasn't enough of a change, and their words seemed to both contradict the new imagery and Kylie's personal branding. So it didn't really capture the attention of most people, it just didn't have the impact that it seemed that they were hoping for. By August of 2021, with the lawsuit, everything was finally done and settled out of court, and the brand was ready to move on with their new image. The first new product then came along in the September of 2021 with the announcement of Kylie Baby, which in her personal life she was already a mother as of 2018 with Stormi, but at this time she was mid-pregnancy with Air, who was born February 2022. They'd said the product started development around 3 years prior, and it was founded on the same platform of being vegan and clean with a similar aesthetic language. So once again, very heavily connected to Kylie the person. So that brings us to where Kylie Cosmetics is today. They're still supposedly a leader in cosmetics, though they aren't directly named in Coty's annual reports after the rebrand as far as I could see, so I'm not 100% sure on how the product is actually selling. Coty in 2022 did see losses to the tune of $77.4 million, though actually the Coty Prestige brand saw a $15 million increase in net revenue, of which both Kylie and KKW are a part, though there are many other brands like Burberry, Calvin Klein, and Gucci, all of which contributed to that. From the cultural side, Kylie Jenner is not my expertise, but from Kelly Gucci's video, it seems like people seem to think that she may be phasing out the cosmetics line altogether in favor of simply her other brands. And from Robert Welch's video, it seems like the public opinion on Kylie having a beauty brand in general is simply disingenuous, which is brought through in the comments. Obviously, authenticity is incredibly important for literally any company, so when the public like Robert stop believing in your authenticity, it often foretells the beginning of the fall of a company, or at least in Kylie's case, a potential second fall. Personally, I don't think this will happen. I think they will attempt another rebrand before they just completely give up. Kim has seen a fairly successful revival with KKW with Skin by turning it into a skincare-focused line with fully new branding, packaging, and marketing. And quite frankly, Kylie's packaging has been outdated even before this new Coty quote-unquote rebrand. So it seems like it is really ready to change, and it has brand equity in order to do so. However, I personally believe this rebrand has actually been withheld because so far they don't have a product-based differentiator, something customers are really starting to notice, with this comment in particular being from Robert Welch's video that I just showed. Kylie Cosmetics is now no more than a celebrity merch line. It's an average product with a celebrity face. Their newest product as of making this video is this mascara, and I think they missed a trick with it. If they had come up with a product-based differentiator like Fenty did, but perhaps with mascara, it would take them past celebrity brand status onto legitimately filling a need or a perceived need within the market. If they can combine the discovery of a market gap or a forgery of a market gap with a rebrand, it's certainly got potential to become a major brand once again. Though, in honesty, I suppose you could say that about most companies. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. Subscribe to my fashion channel Understitch too, and check out my Patreon for early access.